We're going to close out this show with one of my favorite segments of all time. It's called Take for 99 Cent. And on this show and on this segment, we give you a very expensive take for a cheap price in all of sports that we have currently in our minds right now that we get to fire off right now and get a response and go home, even though we're already home. But anyway, my take for 99 cent, and I want to begin. I got to begin here. I thought about this, and I kind of knew I was going here. I have to talk about it. Sean McVay might just be the best coach in the NFL. Nah, you're wrong. You thought I was going to go ahead and say he should be the head coach of the year? No, he's too good for that. That's a disrespect to give him that honor. Head coach of the year? What the hell are you going to do with that? He won a Super Bowl. He ain't the head coach of the year. Give that to somebody like, Stefanski. Give it to somebody like, Shane Steichen. Not him. He's too good for that. Okay? We got to go bigger here. Sean McVay might just be the best coach in the entire NFL. From his scheme to his coaching tree, down to his player development, the whole nine. Okay? Look, we thought he was going to retire last year. We thought he was escaping, adversity. I'm out of here. It's not the same team no more. Injuries and all that, I'm gone. But he came back. There's a lot of things happened last year. He got married, a lot of injuries and all that. But he came back, and even when he came back, a lot of people thought that they was going to be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes and all that. But guess what? Instead, they drafted guys like Puka Nacua, the legend. This guy's a legend. Okay, round 5, Kyron Williams, last season, round 5. Who's having a great year this year, a very breakout year-ish, this year. And there were certain narratives that people had about this team that I want to highlight right now. Let's talk about these narratives that got shot down today. Number 1, the Rams could only win with veteran players. We know that they were frequently trading away first-round picks for veteran talent, and that's how they won their Super Bowl. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, Sean McVay is the running back killer. As I said before, Kyron Williams may just be the most valuable player on that team right now, the way how he's playing. And a lot of it is scheme as well. The scheme that he's able to throw up to get this guy downhill and going up the gut. Number 3, the Rams will be the new favorites to draft Caleb Williams after the Cooper Kupp injury that sidelined him for the first 5 games. That did it for a lot of people right there. Cooper Kupp is gone. Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, that connection. All he does is look for Kupp. It's over. It's a wrap. No. They actually beat the Seahawks in the first week, okay, and dominated that team. And that's when Puka came out right away. Literally, in his first game, right away, came out and made a name for himself, okay? The last narrative that we had was Cooper Kupp and Puka can't coexist. Nope, no issues. Immediately, they both had a good game together. The Rams are actually trending to be in the playoffs right now. And if you ask me, they are the most dangerous team in the playoffs right now, okay? And let's not forget the historical presence of this argument that I'm talking about here. Because I know this is a hot take, but let's talk about the historical context here. They were 4-12 when Sean McVay took over this job. I hope we know that, okay? And they immediately became a 12-5 team. Later, a Super Bowl champion of a team, okay? And my cousin, salute to my cousin. I know you can watch this video. But he had the nerve to say that Mike Tomlin was a better coach than Sean McVay today. Okay? No, he didn't inherit nothing. He didn't inherit a Super Bowl team. He made them a Super Bowl team, okay? With all due respect, okay? One is coaching in 1999. The other is coaching in 2023 today, okay? Let's be real here. And, when you talk about guys like Kyle Shanahan, isn't Kyle Shanahan the best coach in the NFL? No, he's not. Okay, the 49ers are doing the same thing they're doing with him. They did with Jim Harbaugh, okay? Let's be real here. Andy Reid, yeah, maybe he is, maybe he's not, but it's not looking good this year, okay? So when we talk about, Sean McVay, in closing, he might just be the best coach in the NFL, and that's my take for 99 cents.
I like it. And I think, man, he deserves so much credit because it was easy to think that the Rams were going to be good when they were trading all these first-round picks for Jalen Ramsey, and they did it for Brandon Cooks, and, they have Aaron Donald in his prime, Matthew Stafford in his prime, Cooper Kupp, Todd Gurley, all of these guys. But I think you hit it, the guys like Nacua, the guys like Kyron Williams, a couple other guys on defense as well, diamond in the roughs. When McVay traded all of those first-round picks, we thought they were done because they just we didn't know anyone. Like, we didn't know who Puka Nacua was before that first game of the season, and all of a sudden you turn around and he's just torching the Seahawks and might just be on his way to an Offensive Rookie of the Year award. And I agree, the Rams are just a super dangerous team. They have, off the top of my head, they're the only team in the NFC right now in contention with a head coach quarterback combination that has a Super Bowl ring. That cannot be taken for granted. And if you're a division winner like a Detroit, like a Philly, you do not want to see that team. I'm so curious to see how they play San Francisco in 2 weeks, because it's so weird with that Niner-Ram dynamic too. Like, Kyle Shanahan in the regular season has owned Sean McVay. Like, he has a really good record against him. But then the one time they played in the playoffs, like he always does, Shanahan blows the double-digit fourth quarter lead. So I agree, man. The Rams are a dangerous team. McVay's done such a good job. And I even got to give a lot of credit to Matthew Stafford too. Like, is it crazy to say that maybe he could be in the MVP conversation with the way he has been playing over the course of the last few weeks? Maybe the comeback player of the year conversation as well. McVay has done a phenomenal job. That Rams organization, I think we're learning now just how well run they are. And going back to the argument too you made about him turning around that team as soon as he got there, like, we forget Jared Goff, he played a year in the league before McVay got there with Jeff Fisher, and he was looking like an all-time bust before that connection was made. So good points all around. McVay is that dude. He finds new ways each and every week to impress me. My take for 99 cents, I will stay among the top echelon of teams. I'll talk about a team we haven't mentioned yet. I wanted to talk about the Dolphin-Cowboy game on Sunday. And my take for 99 is that I think the Dolphins, of any team that won on Sunday, their victory over the Cowboys was the biggest, because you turn around all of a sudden and you look at Miami. Well, first of all, they shut up a lot of narratives, I think. Miami, I've been a fan of them and what they've been doing all season, but their resume hasn't necessarily backed it up, right? This was the first really good team they beat, and the fact that Tua was able to do it after Dallas took the lead late in the fourth quarter, it's funny. Miami, I felt like really from start to finish in that game was the better team, but Dallas found a way to come back and win it and take the lead, and Miami was able to turn it around. But then you look at the Dolphins, Jalen Waddle's not going to play the next 2 weeks, and they probably have the toughest schedule to close out the season against Baltimore and Buffalo. I think that was a game they really needed, because if they would have lost, they easily could have finished 0-3. And look, do I think they're going to get the 1 seed and win out? I don't know, but I do think they are going to win the AFC East. I think they'll find a way to win at least one of those last 2 games. And especially with the way Kansas City's been playing, I think Miami's a threat in the playoffs, and I take them very seriously. So I thought that was a big win. Of any team that won on Sunday, I thought the one that meant the most was Miami's.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was thinking in my head, I was wondering, going back and forth in my head, did that game change any narratives about the two teams that played? Because the narrative with the Cowboys is they can't win a road game. They record. I mean, they won a couple, but it was against, lower teams, teams that are gearing up for the draft, not any championship caliber teams. And the Dolphins, their narrative is that they can't beat a good team. So I was saying to myself, did this game really change anything from either perspective? And obviously didn't with the Cowboys, but did it change for the Dolphins? And I'm saying to myself, I'm not sure if it did. I think, to me, if anything, it was a great win. They needed to win that game to set up this monster of a matchup coming up with the Ravens, on Sunday. I think it was a great game to have, because you want to be able to put yourself in a position where you control your own destiny to get a number 1 seed, right? But there's certain things that kind of still worries me about the Dolphins. I'm not sure if the Cowboys win is a big enough win for me to really, kind of give them their jurisdiction due, because number one, I could look at that game and tell you where the Cowboys lost that game. That fumble on the 1 yard line definitely swayed a lot. That was 7 points right there on the scoreboard. But not only that, it's little nuances that I see. For example, penalties. There was a couple penalties in the game, and I know in those high-profile games, they had a lot of those. Against the Eagles, they were notorious for getting flagged. Now, I do think there was a flag discrepancy going on there where the Eagles didn't get their, fair shares of flags thrown their way, but they got penalized a lot. It doesn't take away from what they did that they should have handled. They got flagged a lot in that game. They got flagged a lot against the Chiefs. They got flagged a lot in the playoffs against the Bills last year that sent them home. But another thing that I wondered in my head, it keeps popping up, is Jalen Waddle. He seems to always get hurt in the big games. For example, the Eagles game, he got knocked out the game. The Chiefs game, he got knocked out the game. He didn't even play in the second half. In this game, he got hurt. So I'm saying to myself, yo, number one, this team is brittle. Number two, this team is slightly undisciplined. But number three, they're talented. And that's where the talent, it just brings me to this team. I'm looking at Tua. He's a good quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback. He's a very good quarterback. He's very accurate. You know, I thought that game-winning drive in particular, if there's anything to take away from that game, a positive for me that I took away was the game-winning drive more so than anything else. That was good to have that game-winning drive because chances are in the playoffs, you might have to be in that same simulation of you having the ball and trying to win the game. So I'll leave it at that.
All right, Lil, it's been a great show, as always. Kind of have to bounce, but always a great time on the show.
Man.
Hope you enjoyed your
Glad to have you back, my guy.